Good morning.
Morning.
How are you guys?
Hi, Donna.
Hello, how are you, Abe?
Good morning.
I'm Vernon.
We woke you guys up early today. All right, so
Every day.
Glenn, I know you're on a time limit today, so you're able to share the screen.
Yep.
Yes, you can go ahead. Let me just make sure we're recording. Yep, we're recording.
I think I heard it come on earlier. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So just I'll caveat something. I was extraordinarily busy in the last week or so. So if anyone had sent me a request and I didn't get back to you yet, please just forward it again. And I promise I'll get back to that in the next 24 hours. I know I missed one or two. I just don't know which ones I missed regarding the AI piece. So today we're going to cover three things. One of them is going to be press releases, and I'm going to use a practical example of that. I think everyone has seen the enormous amount of real trends posts that have gone out by most agents, which when the report was released, I'm going to show you how to do an update to the Remax template. And Remax on the website, on Mac Center, I should say, has a press release template. So when you go into the marketing piece, and then it has all of the different awards. And if you pick Real Trends Verified, then you can go in and add in their templates for the press release. The reason I use this is just like we did in the prior weeks, you can drop documents into ChatGPT and then have them modified. You can actually modify the Remax real trend template with your information with a few brief commands. So it's kind of neat because it saves you some time. And I'm going to give an example here. I'm going to show on my screen. So what I did was there's a document that was created by Remax, and that document is a Word document, and it's basically attached here, right? So and that document looks, I'm going to pull it up here so you can see what it looks like in its original format. Give me 1 second here, and I'm going to share it. I'm not a Word user, I'm a Google user, so I have to jump between my screens here to show this to you because I don't use Word often. But the Word template looks just like this, okay? And Remax put a template out there, but if you notice, it has some highlights in the template, like the city and state, agent team name, and the things and the categories and what you won for. Well, you can actually just make a comment and say, hey, I want you to update the Real Trends template with the Morris Agent team, have it from Rockaway, New Jersey, number 16 in terms of volume in the state of New Jersey, and update all the relevant information and make the quotes with Glen Baker. So all I have to do is say that, like I just said it now, and it will take this Word document and fully update it for me in all of the places. I'm not sure how many people have gone through and filled out one of these press release templates, but you go through it about 100 times before you get it to the point where you want it to be. And in this instance, all I did was this. I'm going to show you a screen here. Super easy. And you can do this with a press release template. You can do it with any template that needs to be filled out. I don't care what documents you have. I probably would not go down the path of doing offers just yet this way. And I'll explain why. Because the way that the dot loop and other things work, they don't allow you to integrate with AI as of yet. I'm not sure that we're going to see that with dot loop. Because since the acquisition of dot loop about 6 years ago, by Zillow, they haven't really invested much into the platform. So it's hard to think that they're going to actually, make that modification to allow you to use AI to do that. But if you wanted AI to go out and review your PDF that was complete and look for empty fields, well, that's something that you could certainly do. So I suggest that you just think about it in terms of the things that would and would not be useful. So in my normal chat window, I uploaded that template I just showed you, and that's what this file here is. And I said, update this document to reflect the Morris Agent team from Rockaway, New Jersey, with Remax Select as number 16 in the state for large teams. For the quote, reference Glen Baker, the team leader and founder, right? And what it did was it took the entire press release, and this is really good for the brokers on our call here who have to update these and put them up on all the different sites. And it basically updated this document with all of that information. Now, all I need to do is cut and paste it, and I now have a fully updated document. Now, the only thing I didn't do was I didn't tell it my phone number and I didn't tell it my full email address. If I added that in, I could just say, please update the template with Glen Baker at agent.com as the email address. And it's smart enough to know that it's just going to rewrite that document and put my email address in there so that it's in finished format. So the way that I look at it is you can use it for press releases, you can use it for marketing material update, you can use it for copy. So any copy that you do. I know we talked about listing agreements. I know we talked about all these wonderful things. Now, what it did was, if you're looking at my screen, it created a doc file for me. So it actually took all of the things that I had in there and created a doc that I can just take and use for a press release elsewhere. I didn't have to copy and paste it into a doc. It created the doc because I asked it to do that. It will create Google Sheets. It will create lots of things that any format that you can pretty much edit on your machine, it will create. So when we say we're creating things in ChatGPT, it's actually creating an output file that you can share. That's a pretty neat thing to say the least. So that's the press release piece. Now let me talk about blogs. Blogs are, I think they're the most, well, they're fairly underrated. Most people don't understand them. So I'm going to go back to the reason why a blog is important. And then once we understand why it's important, I'll show you how to do a blog. And I'm going to actually take a blog topic from the audience here, and then we're going to create one. But let me explain why they're important. So I think everyone, you hear the terms SEO, you hear the terms Google, you hear all these wonderful terms about why we want to get searched, why we want to get found. Now, I want to explain how you get found, and I'm also going to explain the volume of finding that can happen, right? So I blog post 2 to 3 times a week, not much more than that. And I also I do quite a bit of social media posting. And my social tends to be more personal, less business. I do about 80/20, and the reason for that is I want people to get to know me. But on the business posts, I'm very, very calculating as to what I'm posting. It's always going to be something that's kind of related to what I do in my blog posts. For everyone that's on KV Core or Bold Trail, you have blogging right in the platform. I'll show you that. I'll show you where to find it. For everyone that's, I know some of you said that you're moving to Lofty. Lofty's is killer as when it comes to blogging. It has some really cool functionality that no one else that I know of has integrated into the website, and it's extraordinarily SEO aware. Now, when we talk about blogging and why it's important, when you do blogging, what it's doing is it's correlating you to the topic of real estate or whatever topic you're going to put out there on a search basis across all of the platforms. So if you put up a blog post and you're talking about buyers and buyer representation, and you have a social media post that's about buyer and buyer representation, and then you have a YouTube video that has buyer and buyer representation, the forces of the internet go out and search all those, and you suddenly gain authority because you're being consistent across the platforms and showing it. So when you think, blogs are a thing of the past, it's not really the case because that blog content gets searched and it creates empirical data that says you're an expert in this place or this topic, right? Now, here's the catch. If you're going to put out blog content that is 100% AI created, don't bother. Google has now come out and said we're going to rank things based upon how it looks, and meaning that if it looks like content is created with no value, all it is syndicating out nonsense, right? Because everyone that types in that same question is going to get the same content, and it's going to be across all the internet for the same content that's nothing about you. So then I guess that poses the question, how do you actually look like an individual and sound like an individual creating blog content, but make sure that it's you? So my rule is this, and we're going to do this kind of live and I'll ask someone to put it in the chat in a moment. When we create blog content, there's a couple things you have to have. One is a topic, right? So if you think about anything you do during the day, it's a blog topic. If you're recruiting in the morning, recruiting is a topic. If you are teaching agents how to use platforms, that's a topic. If you are teaching buyers how to buy a home with no money down, that is a topic, right? And I think that we have some proof positive that you can do that, right? And when you do that, and you share something that's so unique that you have the experience of what you did, your storytelling, that is not something that AI can replicate, but it can enhance it. And that's why I say in your head is this library. Anyone who's been in the business more than a couple of years, you have a library of reference that everyone wants to know. You just have to figure out how you're going to tap it, right? So when you're driving along on the street and you think to yourself, wow, that was a really hard deal, my suggestion is you look at it and go, wait a minute, let me tell the world about how that deal went down and how we got it to the finish line and all the things we overcame because there's a story to be had there. That can literally be a blog post. It doesn't have to be all about market data. I mean, I'm guessing that all of us have seen market update reports and market update videos, right? It's about as fun as watching paint dry. Nobody
Yeah.
cares, right? But you tell me a story about how you saved a deal from a home inspection issue because you were able to get a structural repair, and that structural repair didn't require permits because it's a repair, not a modification to the original structure, right? That requires engineering and all that. And that you guided your client, brought the resource, and then on top of it, here's how they fastened that thing to the ground and did the footing and whatever you're going to do. That is something that's irreplaceable. That knowledge is what makes you you. If you go out and say, let's talk about structural repairs during home inspection issues, write me a blog about it. That's pretty darn boring and generic. But when you get to an actual experience that you have, that you overcame and how you did it, that's key. So now, a lot of people are like, boy, I don't want to have to tell that whole story to AI. Well, I showed you the other day when you were looking at the AI window, you can actually chat with AI, right? You can talk with it. And that is an option that you have available to you. That talking button is down here, right? If you want to use the voice mode. The other day, as I was driving back from one of the beach towns, I had a conversation with AI because here, I'll disclose. For a while, I've been thinking about writing a book and I couldn't really figure out what the storyline for it was. Like I wanted it to be like kid who had no money whatsoever, parents always in tax issues, always like I wanted to be, and then you can have success and success is like that kind of thing, right? And I was telling the story about how I always kept my hair short, right? I always kept it short. And the reason why I kept it short was my mom was a hair puller, right? So when you did something wrong, you went where your hair went because she would pull your hair and you'd go in that direction. Well, in fact, the person who said it to me said, that should be the name of the book. And I go, son of a gun, my mom's a hair puller. What a great name because it defines really what started the whole journey. And then I started talking with ChatGPT for an hour and a half on the way home and basically framed out the outline or the brainstorm of the book. And it asked me questions and I told it answers, right? So this whole blog thing and book part, you could literally write an entire book using AI and you could say reference out to some of the best manuals that are out publicly available and tell me how to do it. And the same thing can be done with a blog. Write a blog that is SEO aware, that will build credibility, and also tell the story of X, right? And so this button that you see, you can start this voice mode. I'm just starting it so that you can see it. And when voice mode comes up, I can talk to it. So voice mode, I would like to write a blog about how I overcame a major structural issue for one of my clients where we had a $120,000 repair because the chimney was so large in the center of the house, it was dragging it down and we had a 3 foot belly in the floor. And how we overcame that by bringing in my third generation mason along with an appropriate architect to figure out how we jack the chimney up and then be able to make it so that we could get the repair done. And we only did it for $50,000. Can you write me a quick blog on that?
Absolutely. Here's a quick draft for your blog. Overcoming a major structural challenge. How we saved a client $70,000 on a chimney repair. In the world of real estate, you never quite know what surprises a property might hold. One of the most challenging yet rewarding projects I recently tackled involved a massive structural issue hidden within a client's home. The culprit? An enormous chimney that was literally dragging the center of the house down, causing a 3 foot belly in
AI,
the floor.
stop. Could you write that in text for me so I can see it in the thread?
Of course, here's the text for your blog.
Okay. So if I let that go, it was going to write me my blog. Now, I can say AI sound a little bit better than my rough notes, right? For sure. But the point is that you don't have to sit there and be an artist. You don't need to sit there and be a rocket scientist. You can click this little button and have a conversation and keep refining your AI to get to the point where it's a reasonable outcome that sounds like you. So I would typically say to my AI, make it in my voice, and I'll keep refining it that way. As the storyline gets played out for this repair, I'll keep adding to it until I get that to the point where I think it's ready to go. Once you have your voice and your description of the AI, and I'm using a structural challenge, but this could be anything. If you're recruiting new agents, you want to tell the story about why Remax Select is the place to be. Tell it those reasons. Do the articulation of why you do that and what the value proposition is, and then it goes far beyond splits, right? Or if you're going to go out and tell buyers why, well, everyone in New Jersey, the summer market's finally here, right? Last Thursday, tipping point, was that not the big deal? So we should be telling the world that we noticed inventory went through the roof over the last few days. Yesterday was a Monday and it was the craziest inventory day I've seen in a long, long time, right? So maybe the market's here and maybe buyers should be getting their butts back in order, right? So why not tell that in a blog? Why not go out and pull MLS data for the last 4 days, plug it in and say analyze it, and then create a blog based on that? Not a market update, but a blog as to why buyers could be advantaged right now. Because market updates are boring, but when you tell somebody a target of what you want to do with a blog, it's a very different story. So what I did was I literally talked this part that I have highlighted through, right? And then it would have created me a full blog. I stopped it because for the efficiency of time here, but it will create that blog. So then one thing that I want you to do at the end of every blog is to ask a question of it and say, please make my blog SEO aware. And if you have a website, say reference my website for keywords. And here's the reason why. Google is about connecting the dots, right? So is Bing. For everyone that doesn't know, Bing is what ChatGPT uses to find you. I'm going to cover that in our future sessions. Bing is what's used, not Google, for ChatGPT. Now, Google is used, but Bing is the reference source. So if you're not Bing aware, Bing, Microsoft search, you will not necessarily show up in ChatGPT search. So I would probably say make this SEO aware for both Google and Bing, right? And then write me the blog. And what it's going to do is it's going to correlate keywords. It's going to pull together common keywords that matter from your website, from your content, and do it for you, which is cool because I don't really remember what keywords are on my website other than best realtor in and stuff like that. Once you do that, what do you do with the blog? Well, you got to post it, right? You can't be the secret agent that doesn't post it. So I'm going to show you two ways to post it, and one of them is for all the Bold Trail users, and the second way is for everyone who's moving to Lofty or using Lofty. Okay, so for the Bold Trail users, let me just get over to my Max Tech. I'm going to back out. I'm going to show you how I got here. So if you're at your main screen for your Max Tech, and you click on website IDX, it's going to load up. You're going to notice on the menu here, you have a blog button across this top menu. If you hit the blog button, it's going to pop up a listing of all the blog posts. Now, I'm sure most of you do not have one right now. Here's my cadence or my suggestion on how frequently to do this. Absolutely minimum 1 time a week for a month. I can tell you that I do about 3 a week, and my total invested time is probably about 30 to 40 minutes, right? But I do a lot of chatting with ChatGPT as I drive and things like that to do it. You want to post at least once a week, and you want it to be something of substance. You don't want it to be AI completely. You need it to be you. You need it to be a story that you're telling. Let AI enhance it. Remember the amplifier conversation? We want to be amplifiers. We want AI to make us better. And I can tell you, every time I look at AI, I'm like, boy, I wish I spoke like that. Boy, I wish I wrote like that, right? Every time I see AI do it. But it still has my voice to it. That's what's important. So when you go into Bold Trail and you hit add a post here on the right-hand side, it pops up a window and it's basically looking for you to paste in. Oops, sorry, that was a password I used. Let me close that out. It's going to paste in. I'll go over here and I'm going to grab it. I'll grab the starting point of what this this was. So this is my post that I had. You'll notice that the first part was the title. So I would post the title here, and then you would let your whole entire post go down the line here. You can tell when to post it because you can schedule it in the software. So if you did a bunch, let's say you spend Sunday morning and you do 4 AI posts, I mean, 4 blog posts, and you do them all, but you want them to be released every once a week. You can literally set the date and time in these and then have it all scheduled at one time. I am a big recommend. Rob said something the other day, and I'm forgetting if I don't know if Rob's on the call. When you change gears doing something, it's like you're in the middle of something and someone walks up to you and interrupts you, and then it takes you 30 minutes to get back into it. My suggestion is do them all once. Do all your blog entries for the month, maybe the first week, do them all at once. Don't change gears because once you're in the mode, you're in the mode. Post all 4, be on your way for the month, and you know they're going to be posted on that day of choice, which is super cool. And this is built right in. Now, this is the limit right now of the way that the Max Tech site works, right? So the customization, you have to load your words in and say be SEO aware in here. You're not able to load keywords and things in the background like some of the other websites can. But it's fine because it's better than doing nothing, I promise. So when you can save it as a draft, you can publish it. Now I'm going to back out for a second, and then I'll answer the questions that are in the blog in just a moment. We're almost at the end here. So I'm going to go into my Lofty, which is just another way to do. I use this if you're using Bold Trail or using Lofty. Hopefully, if you have another solution, they have a blog built in. I just have to go out to my website, and then I'll choose my website. And I have these 2 things. In Lofty, we have an AI blog assistant. So actually, you could do all your AI work here. So I don't have to go from ChatGPT to here. Now, I'll be honest. I really like ChatGPT and the way it asks me questions. I use it and I just paste it in like I showed you. I don't use the Lofty one. But when you go into the blog content, I have 2 different blog contents here. I just have to hit add. And like here's one that I did recently. Zillow is not your appraiser, right? And here's what the blog was, right? So Zillow is not your appraiser, the truth about Zestimates. And I go down and say how the Zillow CEO's house, the Zestimate said 1.75 and he sold for 1.05, right? I use examples from the industry as to why that is not my estimate. So I use it and explain to sellers why it can cause damage to them, right? So now when people go out and type Zestimates, the goal is for me to be found. So I do topics related to that. And here's the funny thing. You see this little icon to the right where I have the Zestimate with the Ghostbusters symbol through it? I asked AI at the end of my creation in ChatGPT, create me a symbol like the Ghostbusters one with Zillow in it, right? So, or with Zestimate in it. And it created that image so that it's a highlight for it. The way that I post in here is really simple. Same thing. I say add a new post, and then I can paste in my content that I want for titles and everything else. The only difference with Lofty is you now have an ability to do some SEO work. So if you're using Lofty and you want to use certain meta words to be found, what I would say is go to the ChatGPT window, say, hey, give me the best meta words for this blog, and then you can paste them in here as well. And then you'll get the highest hit rate because it'll be in your website's meta, which gets searched, I should say. All right, so I have 53 minutes after. I think there was a couple of questions. Let me see here.
So
Those
while you're reading the questions, I just want to tell everyone here this goes to Florida, Arizona. We are adding Lofty very, very soon in the next couple of weeks. Right now, we're just being trained. So if you're thinking, wow, I wish I had Lofty, well, that's coming to Remax Select very soon. Just look out for those emails with the introduction coming soon. All right, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, and I'll just point out, I do a lot of homework on the platforms that are available to us. Those are the 2 platforms. I mean, outside of one that's very boutique, these are the ones that you want to be in our business. I can tell you that for sure. So we've got great stuff. And then there was a question: are you posting on Bold Trail when you post? You're posting to when you post to Bold Trail, you're posting to your Bold Trail website. Lofty and Bold Trail websites will be completely separate, 2 separate sites altogether. So when you post, it's just to whichever platform you're on. I only post to my Lofty site, which is my primary site for it. All right, let's open up for questions. Other questions. I think the press release one was answered, so I'll leave that one open. Does anybody do blogs today? Is anyone blogging? It is the easiest street creds you get, right? Because it's creating content that's tied to you with your name. And as I said very early in our training, you need to have a name match everywhere. You can't have your name spelled two different ways. And I would just make sure that it's always the same on all platforms. Because once it starts to correlate and realize you post it on Google, you post it on social media, you post it on Bing, you post it on all those different platforms, it decides that you're an authority on that matter. And especially with geolocation, it could be very localized. I have towns close to me that, because of the way that my reviews hit and because of the way that I post about certain topics, when people type the best realtor in a town, I come up and I barely do any business in the town. But when people post it, they call me and I get it all the time. I'm going to put it in perspective. I post about 3 a week, right? I am getting from Google, just straight Google searches, about 26 leads per week just from posting blogs is what I assess it. I mean, obviously I'm consistent about everything I do. So my name is the same. My reviews, I get reviews, I do that stuff and that helps. But 26 leads, I don't know anyone that wouldn't want 26 leads, and all leads are good leads to me. So 26 leads just for doing a blog post and telling people things. Now, last thing, I don't believe there's secrets in blogs. So put your info out there. Trust me when I say this. When you put out a nugget of something that you have that no one else is really talking about, everyone's like, well, that's my secret. No, it isn't. I promise you. When it's your secret, it's not making you any money. When you put it out there, all of a sudden the world returns its favors. And I don't know why it works this way, but it does. And then suddenly someone stumbles across it. I ended up putting up a special needs related post one time, and somehow Google correlated it to a video. And I ended up selling a house to somebody because I knew about the special needs programs in the schools that are in our area. And I was able to put them on so that their child with special needs could get into the school and knew how to fill out the application to get into the school because they required admissions. And I would have never had that person if it wasn't for that simple blog post, right? And I am no expert on special needs. I just happened to have a topic that I knew something about because I helped someone out with it. That's the type of stuff that's going to draw value. Let me just see if you started today. If you haven't started using bullet trail, should you just if you're use whatever CRM you're going to follow up you're going to use with. So my attitude about this is if you're going to be in Lofty and all your contacts there, work in Lofty. Don't work between two CRMs is my suggestion. Work in one. One is hard enough. Two is a train wreck. So that's the answer. Whatever one you choose, stick with. I started but like the story idea. What do you do about towns? Oh, I love that. That's a great story because I do those. So you can do a couple things. One is use caution. Whenever you ask ChatGPT questions about a town or a function, a lot of times they won't give you the accurate information, specifically around dates and events. So always verify, make sure that it's good. But towns, I'll do things about restaurants, events, any kind of fundraisers that are out there, any kind of nonprofit things, any kind of senior events. Love them in towns, and you can write up a really simple one. Um, can you migrate bold trail content, contacts, and posts? Contacts, absolutely. You can move them between any CRM. I do believe that blog posts, you'll have to manually copy them between the platforms one by one. How do you link your blog to your social media? Oh, yeah. So each blog, you're seeing my screen. When I click on this Google one, if I click and say share, for me in Lofty, give me one sec. It's loading up. Not sure why. It's so slow. It's normally very fast. So it pops open my Lofty Social Studio and it creates the post for me right here. If not, if you go back to the main page, sorry, fire call, and you click the page, this link can also be used. Okay. Sorry, fire call. Out of town. So if I copy this page, I can post it to my social media. Okay. So that's two ways you can do it. How much is Lofty?
So those questions will be, and I'll answer that for you, Glenn. That's coming soon. We'll send out emails. I'm not sure which state you're with, but you can speak to your broker manager and they'll be able to help you. So we're still working on the contract. So that's coming up in the next, I would say, next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
All right, so before I guess Glenn, that's it for you. We have a 10 o'clock with our insurance division. If you're from New Jersey, please stay on. I have a lot to share with you guys, so don't leave. and everyone else is dismissed. Thank you. And remember, next week, we're going back to 10 o'clock with Glenn. So this was the only time where we switched it to 9:30.
Yeah, thank you everyone for commenting that.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.